Could it be Drew Brees all over again? A West Coast quarterback, second rounder. He makes his home in New Orleans, undervalued for a long time. Maybe this all pops. I don't know if I'm there, that this is going to be a long-term solution for the Saints. Where are you at with the fit of Derek Carr and what you saw from the Saints team last year? And are they still just kind of fighting the inevitable of like, you're going to have to do a rebuild. You can't keep getting away with this cap stuff, and you're just kicking the can down the road, and I don't see it anymore. Which way do you stand right now on the Carr to the Saints deal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And, when I was in Indianapolis this past week at the Combine, Derek Carr was sitting a booth over from me and my friends at a restaurant. So I was trying to eavesdrop a little, see where he was going to go, but I wasn't able to hear anything. But no, I think a lot of the points that you laid out are right? Like, I can see why, from the Saints' perspective, they want to make this move. Every team in the NFC South, which I think is going to be the worst division in football this year, is going to have a new starting quarterback than they previously had the year before. So it's probably not going to take much to win this division. So I can see why the Saints want to go out and get a quarterback that has consistently ranked between 12th and 16th in expected points added per play throughout his career, because that gives you some stability of your offense, and that raises your floor. I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback at raising the floor of your offense, and with the pieces that they have there where they can take advantage of this weak division. But I think the thing that you mentioned where it doesn't give them a long-term solution at quarterback, and I that's like the biggest thing for me, is it's kind of uninspiring because of that. You would want to see the Saints eventually pack it in and understand that they have a roster that's older and getting really expensive, and try to get some younger players in there. And that starts with the quarterback and try to make a move from that perspective. But going out and committing to Derek Carr for at least 2 seasons doesn't exactly do that. So while I think it increases their chance of winning the division this year and potentially hosting a home playoff game, I don't know if it necessarily increases their Super Bowl chances for the next couple of years.
Evan, do you share that sentiment, or are you all in on the Saints are back? The Saints are good again. No,
it's the most like, the fact that it's an NFL headline just shows that we're a little slow in the offseason right now. Like, listen, Derek Carr might be the most talented quarterback to ever. Well, maybe, he couldn't even be that. Like, he's such a middle, like, he looks good statistically. I mean, he had some really good seasons in the beginning, but like, I've never once been afraid of Derek Carr. I don't think this is not a Drew Brees situation. I'll tell you that much. I feel like the Saints are really struggling. They showed that last year. Their cap space makes no sense whatsoever. They gave him $100 million in guaranteed money, but it's kind of like it seems like it was like a Colin Kaepernick style contract where there's like year by year. I don't know. I feel like the Saints were a very middling, struggling team, and they just added a middling, struggling quarterback. Like, you got to think that the Raiders roster last year was better than this Saints roster, and the Raiders were terrible last year. Now, there's some other things going on there, obviously, with coaching and what have you, but like, I'm not taking Alvin Kamara over Josh Jacobs.
One, how dare you? Two, there.
What do you mean? First off, the Saints are like the Falcons' biggest rival.
Hold on. Alvin Kamara is on the billboard outside of Neyland Stadium, my good friend. Alvin Kamara is a VFL for legend. I pass him every single day here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I make an excuse for my guy, and he's also from Georgia and my home county. So Alvin Kamara and I go way back. Look, all things against the Saints on this very program, but the one caveat is Alvin Kamara. We stand on this podcast.
Listen, all I'm saying is right now as it stands, Taysom Hill before this signing was in the top 10 for highest cap hits on the Saints roster. Okay? Like, there are some serious issues that they have to figure out with this team. They're going to be doing some you're looking at what's happening with the Rams right now, right? They're going to have to be making moves to get under the cap, to figure this stuff out, to have enough money for, I don't know, maybe free agents, which they desperately need, and signing their draft picks. They have a first-round pick now from the 49ers via the Denver Broncos. You know, like, so they still have to, like, figure a lot of stuff out this offseason. And I just, like, no matter what they do, no matter what puzzle pieces or chess pieces they move on the board, they're going to still have Derek Carr as your quarterback. I don't know, like, they might be looking in. I mean, you tell me. I'm losing my mind here right now. But are they going to be looking for the number 1 pick in the draft next season? Are they going to be that bad? Because there's some really good quarterbacks that are going to be coming into this draft next year. And hey, if the Saints ended up signing Derek Carr to ensure they get there, that might be one of the most genius moves in NFL history.
I don't think that the Saints are going to be that bad. And like I talked about earlier, like the division is so weak. You're going to stumble into some wins just kind of out of default. But I'm with you where, like, I was kind of surprised they wanted to make this push for Derek Carr because of, like, how good of prospects Drake May and Caleb Williams are right now. Like, you could see the Saints kind of wanting to turn that next chapter, being really bad this year, whether they roll out some backup quarterback or, like, put Taysom Hill there or something, and like waiting for that, like, really good rookie contract quarterback that they could really use to rebuild their roster. But Kai Harley, the Saints head of cap, does a really good job with setting up all these contracts to be restructurable. So when he makes these contracts, he makes sure that in years 2 and 3 and 4 of these contracts, he can keep just pushing money back, because Mickey Loomis, the Saints GM, loves to do that. He loves to fit all these older, expensive players on his roster. So Kai Harley has to set up these contracts in a way to make sure that they do that. But, like, the bill always comes due, right? It's why you can't re-sign certain players to your team and have to let them walk in free agency. Like, even if Michael Thomas was still good and the Saints wanted to re-sign him, they wouldn't be able to this year because, like, they're out of money, and especially with this Derek Carr deal. So it's just different stuff like that. I think that's going to make it really difficult for the Saints to keep continuing to do this for the next couple of years.
Do you think that Kai Hartley wakes up every single night at like 3 a.m. screaming? Like, obviously, for those watching this on YouTube, like this, the Wendy's worker sitting outside, tired, exhausted,
Popeyes,
leaning
sir.
over. Popeyes, just leaning over, just going through it. Like, do you think that's just him every night? Just wakes up like with nightmares of like Taysom Hill making $12 million. Like, he's hardest working guy in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Transitioning a little bit from this. So the Bears still haven't traded the number 1 overall pick. And Ted, you're going to be kind of biased here because the Bears are obviously a division rival for you. But with the precedent of only 12 times before since 1967 when the AFL NFL mergers happened, the number 1 pick has been traded only 12 times before the start of the draft. Last time it happened, it involved your starting quarterback. When the Rams moved from 15 to 1 2 weeks before the draft to take Jared Goff. Obviously, my team, the Atlanta Falcons, did it, over 20 years ago, which is insane that it's been that long since the Michael Vick era started with Dan Reeves and company. But what would you do? Would you trade the pick? Does the Jalen Carter arrest stuff complicate sitting at 1? Because it does certainly seem like Jalen is the unanimous, like, can't miss, best player in the draft. You just take him 1 and figure it out later. I don't know. What would you do if you're the GM of the Chicago Bears right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. I mean, if I were to do anything as Ryan Poles, the Chicago Bears GM, it would have been to trade Justin Fields and take Bryce Young at number 1. But if you're going to go with just like, we're sticking with Justin Fields no matter what, it's nothing against Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is an electric player and his rushing ability especially. But if you're sticking with Justin Fields for sure, I would trade that number 1 pick. There's been a lot of research done, even